Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Apologies if you can hear Poppy tapping away there on the floor. She's currently staring at me. But today's first story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, Am I the arsehole for telling my coworker I'm tired of hearing about her nerdy obsession? So I have a coworker, female 27, who is absolutely obsessed with Transformers. Hell yeah. Yes, you read that right. She has a massive collection of action figures and frequently brings one or more of them to work to show off. She talks endlessly about the movies, cartoons, comics, video games to anyone who'll stop long enough to listen. She writes a ridiculous amount of fanfic that she also has to talk about. Almost every vacation she takes revolves around going to a Transformers convention, etc. Most everyone else seems to think it's a fun personality quirk or at least tolerates it. But it drives me bonkers because it's all she talks about. Like, get a life. Last month, a number of us were discussing things we missed the most that were gone/delayed due to the pandemic. Most of us brought up visiting family, going to the movies, etc. Guess what this coworker missed the most? Yep, her conventions, which had all been cancelled because apparently stuffing hundreds of nerds in a confined space isn't a good idea during a pandemic. I admit that I lost my shit at this point, and I told her, oh my god, will you shut up? Nobody cares about your obsession. Find another hobby or just something else to talk about besides a stupid cartoon show and action figures. She clammed up and didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. Since then, haven't heard her say a peep beyond work-related stuff, which is actually a relief. But other co-workers are saying that I was the arsehole for telling her to shut up, and that they actually miss her ramblings about fictional robots. One of them even saying, I'm lucky this co-worker didn't report me to HR. I don't think what I said was HR worthy. If anything, I think I did everyone a favor by getting her to stop talking their ears off about something only she cares about. But I'm wondering if I could have worded it better. Am I the arsehole? Man, I would love a coworker who talked about Transformers all day, especially if they're a Starscream fan. He's just the best. Whenever Megatron falls ill, gets a sniffle or whatever, he's there to take over straight away. And look, I can get being frustrated or annoyed or whatever. Having a coworker who only talks about one thing, especially something you're not into, could get exhausting fast, right? But instead of saying, hey, can we talk about something else sometimes? You turn to, oh my god, shut up, nobody cares about your stupid hobby. Come on now, how can you not see that's an arsehole thing to do? And the fact that everyone else at work misses her talking now should actually tell you something. She wasn't hated by everyone. It seemed like a lot of people loved her conversation because she was just enthusiastic about something that she loves. And I think that's a really lovely thing to see. One of the best things for me is hearing someone talk about something that they're passionate about. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a bloody dog turd. It'd be still interesting because when people are passionate, it's just amazing. So yes, you are the arsehole in this situation, but sick and tired says you're the arsehole. What did I just read? The way you talk about your coworker shows the level of disdain you have for her. The language you used about her is downright disgusting. You all shared what you miss. When she shared, you were judge, jury, and executioner. You decided her missing a convention is not worthy of your time, of you listening, and you publicly executed her in a very mean-spirited way. This girl is amazing for even talking with you purely professional stuff. I feel sorry for her. Who the fuck made you the judge of worthy hobbies and worthy things to talk about? Who do you think you are? If you're not interested, do what any other mature adult will do in this situation. Tune her out, nod, and move on. A commenter says, yeah, you're the arsehole, I get it's weird, but it's what she's passionate about. I feel the same way when people won't shut up about sports. OP edited the post and says, okay, I get it. I'm a piece of shit. Please stop messaging me telling me so. A couple of days later, OP updates and says, update for those who care. I'm getting shunned and hated on enough at work that I'm currently looking for another job. I tried apologizing to my coworker, and she gave an it's okay but still refuses to talk to me. She's back to talking about robots again though, so I think she'll be okay. Don't know for sure if she's on the autistic spectrum, but probably doesn't make a difference. We'll try to be more accepting of people's interests from here on out, even if it's too little, too late in my current workplace. Part of me in that update was like, where he says, I will try to be more accepting of people's interests. I was kind of like, I hope the person actually does, but at the same time, it felt a bit sassy when OP said, so I think she'd be okay in regards to talking about robots again. And it's like, well, no, not really, because you probably knocked her confidence quite badly with what you said. People don't just forget that shit instantly and move on. It's something that stays with you now when you bring up that robot conversation in front of your coworkers because of something you said. So that wound me up a little bit. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is one that has several updates, so parts of it may be covered in other places, but there's a final update to it now as well. So if you want to skip parts of the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. This story is from Odysseus's Kitten from the Am I the Arsehole Here, the True Off My Chest subreddit, and it says, Am I the Arsehole Here for not telling my dad that he wouldn't be walking me down the aisle? So 25-ish years ago, two dumb 20-year-olds got drunk and made me. They had and still have nothing in common, don't particularly like one another, but for some reason decided to keep me. I've always lived with my mum full time. I love her, don't get me wrong, but she's pretty messy. I have 6 other half-siblings, 2 of them have the same dad. We always had a clean place to live and never went hungry or anything, but I know there were times that she did, so we wouldn't. My mum very clearly loves all of us individually and as her family. She's just pretty irresponsible. My dad, I'd say more has his shit together, but we're not close. He married Hildy, also mid-40s now, when I was 6-ish, and they had my half-brothers, Jesse, 16, and Kyle, 14, a few years later. They both have really good jobs and a nice house and cars. I know my dad paid child support, but their lives simply were very different than mine. I'd come over every other weekend, but after a while they were too busy with the other 2, so I'd just wait for dad to text me when he was available. He did, don't get me wrong, but he works a lot, so I probably saw him once a month before I went to college. And after that, we'd talk every now and then, but mainly just see one another on holidays. One of these holidays, Hildy got kind of drunk and told me that after my mum had me, my dad basically blocked her and just paid child support until his parents, my grandma and grandpa, basically shamed him for being a deadbeat and he got some visitation. That hurt a lot to hear, but it made a lot of my childhood make sense. It all came up because she was resentful that he had to pay my mum child support until I was 21 and was saying she had wished I'd skip college. It's also sad because I know she was busy with her kids, but I always thought she had at least liked me. Like, I know she hates my mum because it was maybe petty, but when they had Jesse, they replaced my room at their house with a nursery and put my stuff in another one. So my mum filed and was awarded much more child support than she had been getting, and that affected them. It's fine. There was free therapy at college, and I'm actually doing great career and mental health wise now. In fact, my fiance and I make about as much as they do. Granted less property, etc., so I'm in a good place. Literally freshman week I met my now fiance John, 25, but we didn't start dating for 2 years and have been inseparable ever since. His family is amazing, super loving, involved but not pushy and kind. They do have a lot of money, and I don't care if you don't believe me, but even if they were broke, I'd be so lucky to be marrying into their family. Like, just an example of how amazing they are. His mum gave him her grandmother's ring to propose and has offered me any and all of her or her sister's jewelry to borrow for the wedding. His dad helped my brother get a job in his industry. He deserved it, but it's a hard one to crack into. And even his sister is going to be my maid of honor. Okay, maybe these are stupid examples, but they told me before I don't need to apologize for my crazy and kind of trashy mum, and I've even thanked her for raising the love of their son's life. They're just so happy and positive and full of love. I'm so lucky. I've been so good about setting up boundaries, like with my mum. I laid it out that I'm not her best friend. She's not Lorelai Gilmore, and I'm not Rory. I'm a daughter and always have been. We've had some come to Jesus moments, but are in a much better place. And I'm sad, but also very happy to say that she's been a much more responsible mother to my 4 youngest siblings than she was to my brother. Different dad, Jake, 23, and me. And my dad and I have never been close, but I've tried. When John and I were talking about getting engaged, he asked me if I wanted him to ask my dad's permission. At first I said no, what's the point? Then I was like, okay, I'm his only daughter. He's kind of traditional, and he was more or less there for me growing up. So he did, and dad was tickled pink just as I expected. They never said they had any money for the wedding or offered any, which wasn't shocking or anything, and I didn't ask. So after all that background, we're getting married soon. It will be in John's hometown, which is a pretty nice place that people go to for vacations, and they know basically the whole town, so it will be a huge event. His family, and to be honest, we want a big wedding. But since we're just starting our careers out, his parents are paying for the whole thing. I'm paying for my dress though, and my mum and younger siblings travel. I kinda just assumed my dad would walk me down the aisle, but a few weeks ago, at one of my showers, Hildy was talking with John's mum, who was saying how proud they must have been that I paid my own way through college. Hildy was like, "Oh yeah, it looked really hard. We're glad we started saving towards our son's college funds a long time ago. They have more than enough for undergrad and probably grad school." I overheard this and confirmed with John's mum what she said. It hurt so bad. College was a struggle. There were times all I had were multivitamins and peanut butter and jellies, and only because my mum would send me $20 here and there. Don't get me wrong, I'm also proud of myself, and I know the boys are both their kids, while I'm just my dad, so of course they give them more. But it really solidified to me who and what I was to them. So I asked my brother Jake to walk me down the aisle. John and his family know about this and 100% support me. Hildy called me yesterday asking about the rehearsal dinner, where they'd need to be and when, and I told her they wouldn't need to be at the church or anything and could just go to the restaurant after. She was like, "Oh well, how will your dad practice walking you down the aisle?" It was super awkward and I let her know Jake would be, but I was excited to see them. A few hours later, my dad came to our condo and told me how disappointed he was. He said he's been dreaming of giving me away my whole life. I was in a pretty good headspace luckily and was just like, "Oh, I didn't know you'd want to and didn't expect you to care," trying to be nonchalant and avoid drama. He was aggressive though and wouldn't let it go, saying I was trying to make him look like an idiot, and if Hildy hadn't asked, he would have shown up thinking he'd walk me down the aisle. I asked him why he would assume that, and he looked at me like I was stupid. But I wanted to hear him say it, and he finally said that any father would expect that. I was just like, sure, but any other father probably didn't ignore their daughter for the first few months of their life, have a minimal custody as possible, or have college funds for some of their kids but not others. They probably did do things like take their daughters on vacation, attend a single father-daughter event, and help them out even though they were legally done. He got mad, but honestly couldn't even argue, and just said he wasn't sure if he approved of this marriage anymore. I told him I wasn't worried about that, and the truth was that we just simply weren't very important people to one another. He got really sad after that and left, and even though John agrees with my decisions, he said I should have given my dad the heads up about what I wanted from him at the wedding. As much as I value his opinion, I also feel like he doesn't get it. His family loves him and will do anything for him and has, while my dad has only ever done the bare legal minimum when I needed him. I never assumed he would help me, and he shouldn't assume he could just play a role in my wedding. I know I'm not the arsehole for having my brother walk me down the aisle. That's no debate, but was I wrong for not directly spelling out for my dad that he'd be attending as a guest and only a guest? OP adds 1, it was the first 2 years of college. She sent me a few $100s, but did use the money for my health insurance and if something came up, an issue at the house that I lived in the summer by the way. 2, even if she spent any of the money on my siblings, it doesn't matter, it was her money. 3, after I turned 21 is when it got hard, and she'd send me $20 when she could. I haven't received a dime from dad since I turned 21, and the surviving on sandwiches and vitamins was after I turned 21. Before that, she was sending me more money. Before she refiled when they took my first room away, his child support was like $40 a month since they calculated it when he was in college. By that point, he had been working his big boy job for years and was ordered to pay over 10 times that, which infuriated them to the point that they didn't want to see me for a few months after their first kid was born. Hildy still brings it up as one of the worst things anyone has ever done to anybody in the history of humanity. So much so that when I was a teenager and completely miserable with the 7,000 kids living at my mum's and asked to live with my dad's, and she freaked out, told me it wasn't my home and never would be, and would leave during any visitation I'd come over. Once she came back early and just stared at me. I was on the couch watching a game with dad until she told him it was time to take me home. I was supposed to spend the night that night, and I don't think I ever did, and my dad went along with all of this. A commenter says, not even remotely close to being an arsehole. Your dad has some nerve having expectations of you after not treating you like an equal child your entire life. I'd have punched him at the dreaming of giving me away his whole life. You didn't owe him jack shit. Did he give you a heads up before becoming a deadbeat? Did he give you a heads up about not paying for your college but paying for your half-sibling? The audacity to say he doesn't approve. Honestly good, because now you can uninvite him without feeling guilty. Who would want to attend a wedding they don't approve of? Opie says, honestly, I doubt he's been dreaming of this for more than a few years. One of my brothers is trans, so I'm sure he thought that was his redo daughter he could do all of the father stuff with, but that isn't happening anymore. Commenter says, not the arsehole, I'm absolutely gutted. That Hildy is a piece of work. Opie says, lol, after that drunken confession for their next anniversary, I gave them a card and wrote how much they deserved and were perfect for one another. And they thought it was sweet, like I looked up to them, and not like in a, man, every fucked up pot deserves a fucked up lid. Commenter says, did he tell you that he would not provide funding for your education but would fund other children's education? Did he tell you when he would not take you on vacation? Did he tell you when you would no longer have a room in his house? Did he tell you when he didn't do any father/daughter events? He has skipped so much of your life that was private without any notice or warnings. Why would he expect to be central to any big moments? It's only a minor embarrassment to him. He probably told people about your wedding and your achievements, but he never mentioned they had nothing to do with him, as he is more of a stranger to you. Not the arsehole. Opie says, I always had a room at his house. My mum was just mad when I showed up and all my stuff was in a guest room, and they were redoing my room into the nursery. In their defense, my room was the largest, non-master bedroom one, and I was only there every other weekend, and then barely at all. Paul says, info. Did your mum have a college fund for you? Does she deserve some of the blame you put on your dad for not starting a fund? Will you hold a grudge if she was financially able to start a fund for your younger siblings later? Opie says, I get where you think you're coming from, but I'll be the first to say that my mum wasn't perfect, but this isn't comparable. My mum was there for every scraped knee, sickness, when I was heartbroken that my dad didn't end up coming to get me for his weekend. She never had a lot of money, so of course she didn't have a fund for me. She didn't for Jake either, and likely doesn't for the others. The difference is that my dad does have ones for my half-siblings, and has since they were born. Also in my post I literally talked about my complicated feelings surrounding how my mum has improved so much as a parent in time for my younger siblings to benefit. But Opie comes in with her first update and says, thanks for all your comments. I read all of them. It was very cathartic, and to be honest, even though it was overwhelmingly not the arsehole, I started to agree with the you're the arsehole folks, who were mostly still very nice. I should have put on my big girl pants and just told my dad he'd be a guest at my wedding and nothing more. I wasn't doing anyone any favors by not being upfront. I apologized kind of to my fiance. He totally understood and admitted he doesn't really understand my family dynamic, which I told him I was glad for. I mentioned in some comments, but one of my dad's sons came out as trans a few years ago. I know they were hoping it was a phase, but to their credit, they did let him take puberty blockers. Well, it's at this point not looking like a phase anymore, and I think that's where the whole my only daughter/only chance came from. In fact, after spending time with Hildy and hearing, with horror, about the things she's done, my sister-in-law confided in me that she's pretty sure that if he and Hildy did have a daughter, he'd refuse to walk me down the aisle before he was able to do it with her. My dad wrote me an email. I'm not going to post it because it's super lame and was just the same old song of poor him, his life is so hard, he wasn't ready to be a dad, he did the best he could, he's always loved me, blah blah blah. No action items, no probably false promises to change, nothing new. No, he didn't offer any money for the wedding, but reiterated a lot that he's always dreamed of walking me down the aisle. He did the whole, oh, I know I haven't been perfect and you deserve a better dad, and how he knew he could do better with his grandkids. I just replied that we look forward to him being a guest at the wedding, and to remind me if they had any food allergies. Unfortunately, I care a lot, and I know their youngest allergies, but whatever. I'd already decided who'd be walking me down the aisle by then, so it didn't matter. My sister-in-law is one of my dearest friends, and she and my fiancé John have been very sweet to me about all of this. They are their parents, only 2 kids, and very close. She's the one who convinced me to date John in the first place, and I can never stop thanking her. She and my father-in-law always go, don't laugh, to this amateur wrestling thing in our city whenever he's in town, drink a lot of beer, and either John or myself pick them up. It's a fun thing, and they've always done it just the 2 of them, so I was shocked and thrilled that she invited me to go with them this past weekend. My father-in-law kept bragging about his 2 daughters, and my sister-in-law told me she's excited to finally have a sister. I told him my new plan for the ceremony and who would be walking me down the aisle. I already told Jacobs and he approved, and even though they're pretty traditional, they thought it was a great idea. I'm excited for the future. I've worked really hard for my life, and yes, I got super lucky with John and his family, and it's going to be a great rest of my life, and the wedding will be a great start to it. Major Noodles asks OP, maybe you answered this in a comment that I missed, but why did you decide to no longer have your brother walk you down the aisle? OP says I was having him walk me down the aisle because he's the closest man I have in the family, and that's what I thought I had to do. be walked down by a family member, ideally a man, but I'd be giving myself away. Commenter says, curious to know some of the horrific things that Hildy has done that makes you know that if Hildy had a girl, your dad would have dumped you like yesterday's trash. If it's too personal to tell, it's fine. I'm just curious what a piece of shit Hildy really was. I seriously think some people watch Cinderella and Snow White and think the stepmothers are role models. Opie replied, my brother is trans, assigned female at birth, so yeah. Commenter replied saying, Hildy is also transphobic. Gotcha. Total piece of shit. You and your brother deserve happiness. Screw her. Opie says she's not. They've been very supportive of my brother. I'm saying I think a lot of this came out because he realized I'm his only daughter. I'm also almost 100% certain that if he had a daughter with Hildy, he wouldn't be allowed to walk me down the aisle until he walked her down first. Just like how he's never able to go to my father-daughter dances. Fine in retrospect because those were cringe. So it was 3.5 months after that post, Opie came in with a new one that was titled, I'm watching my stepmom become the loser she always told me I'd become, and it's amazing. So I was a mistake. My mum and dad were dumb idiots. My mum mostly raised me because my dad tried blocking her. After a while, he was in my life and paid child support. He got married and had 2 more kids the right way, and my stepmom Hildy never let it go how much better she was than me. How she and her kids had clothes from nice stores and not Walmart. How they just didn't have time to include me in the Christmas card picture. Plus, I wouldn't have a nice enough outfit, so oh well. One of their kids, my brother, came out as trans a bit ago, and Hildy seemed very supportive. Apparently not. She's been drinking a lot and gaining weight. She lost her job and I found out because she called me ranting in the middle of the day and saying that she lost her daughter and, like, I should have transitioned instead of him. It was so bizarre. I told my dad that he needed to deal with it. He tried telling me that he wanted her to get therapy, but honestly, I don't care except I don't want her to ruin my brother's lives. Apparently she picked one of them up from school and smelled like wine. She's been so horrible to me my entire life that I've known her, most of it, and I don't care that she's unhappy. I've enjoyed watching her burn out. Yes, I feel bad for my brothers, but this woman treated a literal child like trash because she hated my mum. She came to my bridal shower wearing a white dress that she couldn't even zip up the whole way. When people mentioned it, I just shook my head and ignored it, like she would do when people point out that my jeans were too short that one time in front of everyone. She said she refused to spend their family's money on clothes for me since my dad paid child support. Whatever, I don't care. She deserves her life, and my dad deserves his marriage, and I'm certainly not a good person for laughing at all of this, so I guess retroactively deserve my childhood. The only victims are my brothers. The commenter said to OP, your dad is a piece of shit for not standing up for you, not including you, not buying you a nice outfit for the pictures, and allowing her bullshit white dress at your wedding. Fuck your dad and fuck her. OP says no, my dad is a pillar of the community. According to what Hildy told my mother-in-law, pillar of the deadbeat community, sure. Oh, not the pillars. I'm no longer there, says, I'm sorry you had to experience all of that. This is why my kids stay away from their dad and his girlfriend. Their dad is a piece of shit who doesn't defend them, doesn't think he should help with anything because he pays child support and that's more than enough effort from him. The girlfriend thinks she can mistreat my kids and my kids have to deal with it. Nope. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm glad your stepmom is getting her karma. Oh, wish I could whoop her ass for you. Opie responds, the worst part is that she hates my mum so much, and my mum isn't perfect by any measure, because the whole child support thing, when I found out that Hildy had apparently asked my mum not to go for a child support increase because they were going to have a baby and things were tight. In retrospect, that was not my mum's problem. She only went for the increase when Hildy kicked me out of my room. She couldn't be a stay-at-home mum because of the child support apparently. All she had to do was treat me like a family member and it would have been fine. She'd been stepping on rakes for decades. Forsaken says, how can she claim to not be trashy but does an incredibly trashy thing by asking to pay less child support? I feel like that is something someone from a low-class upbringing would think appropriate. Opie responded saying she came from a pretty trashy family to be honest. It was just projection. A commenter says, you are far better than that woman. It is okay to laugh. Things would not be better from holding back. Anyone treating a child like that because they think they are better than, jealous of a past partner or whatever, deserve all things bad. Of course, sucks for your siblings, still happy she is struggling, just got to support your brother because that is the mum. Awful person. Opie says it's bad because I don't feel super responsible for my brothers. Obviously I'm always there for them, but at least they have my dad and he should be the one looking out for them. My mum was kind of a mess and I didn't have a dad looking out for me. He was too busy with other stuff. They know they can always call me and I'll be there, but I'm not going to pry. So it was 4.5 months later that OP comes in with their final updating to the last post. I'm watching my stepmom become the loser she always told me I'd become, and it's amazing. It says, months ago, I posted about how my stepmom was becoming the loser she always said I'd be. Just in case you're about to feel sorry for her in this update, don't. This is a woman who bragged in front of my aunt and cousin that she once, going to Vom, offered my dad a full-service blowjob so that he wouldn't pick me up for one of his weekends. Yes, I know my dad is a loser too, don't worry. He's a very minuscule and unimportant part of my life. But at least he finally left her. I wish he had done it before my wedding so I wouldn't have had to invite her. Oh well, he has a new girlfriend, probably an affair partner, but I don't care. She's actually nice to me the 2 times I've met her, but I'm not going to have a relationship with her or anything. I only talk to my dad to see my half-brothers. Hildy, my fake name for stepmom, would always brag about her cute nuclear family. She loved bringing that up to my face, that her kids were part of a nuclear family so that things were different than me, and that I was an afterthought. Really nice to hear when you're 13. She'd brag about how my dad took care of her and their kids, that she didn't have to work if she didn't want to, and that she only married him because he promised her that he'd move on from me. Which he did, but apparently not before making her sign a prenup. According to my uncle, dad's brother, my grandpa made him make her sign one because he didn't trust her, and she was delusional enough to think it didn't matter because she was so amazing. Well, now she's living in some sad apartment, and my brothers don't want to do visitation with her because it's too small and they have to share a room. She had to get a different car because hers was in my dad's name. They originally bonded over their stupid cars, and it's constantly breaking down. She gets child support if she manages to get 50-50, but since she's only not working because she's willingly quit a job a few months ago, she said there was a funny business, aka they thought she should be on time to work. Per the prenup, she isn't going to get jack shit for alimony, and the house is only my dad's. Again, my dad can go fuck himself. You'll never catch me defending him. I hope his new girlfriend makes him miserable too, but I don't care if it makes me a bad person. I'm loving my front row seat to Hildy's circumstances. She'd tell everyone that if I graduated from high school, she'd be shocked that I'd have multiple baby daddies and live in a trailer. Now she has 2 kids who don't want to be around her, 50 extra pounds and a DUI. Sometimes the trash truck is delayed, but at least it's taking her away. Pleasant says to OP, I feel bad for your half-brothers. It's good of you to tolerate a relationship with your father in order to see them. You're the only actual adult in their life. OP says thank you. I'm not close to them to be honest, by design, but I do care about them and feel bad that they have to go through them divorcing. One of them is really starting to act like her though, and it sucks, but I'm trying to stay positive. President says, what in the world was she thinking? Referring to a 13-year-old as an afterthought is evil. I guess along with a long list of things she did, this was par for the course. What did your mum do or say when this adult ridiculousness was going on? OP says my mum is messy lol. She didn't shield me from any of it. Careless says, I like this and you're so honest. I'm glad you don't think your dad is a good guy. Cheers to his new girl making him miserable. OP says she's been nice enough to me, and she's quite pretty, which I know kills Hildy on a molecular level. She's pretty vain, but I hope the new girlfriend is a secret psychopath and my dad ends up miserable and alone. He wouldn't care if I did. I don't care. Commenter says, I'm delighted to hear about what's happening to her. What I mean is pretty pathetic that you hate her so much but still invite your piece of shit father to your wedding. I know your excuse is that you have half brothers, but still. He's the one who truly failed, and it was his job to protect you. You're still rewarding him with a relationship. Makes no sense. OP says lol, read it again. I invited my dad to the wedding. She was his +1. I didn't let him walk me down the aisle. He had no place of honor, no speeches. I didn't even invite him to the rehearsal dinner or the post-wedding brunch. I keep him in my life so I can see my brothers. That's all. And Daft Pump says, the best revenge is living well. Forget them, but keep the brothers in your world somehow. OP says, I will. I can be the bigger person, despite her best efforts for me not to. Like, she took my room at my dad's away so her baby could have the best room. Then when they had their second, said that her babies shouldn't have to share rooms with one another, and I was too old to share a room with one of them. And since it was only a 3-bedroom when I came over, I could just sleep on the couch and didn't have a room. I do still care about them. She always says she couldn't like me because she hated my mum, but that was BS for her own insecurity because I don't blame them at all for their mum. And again, maturity or intelligence was never a strong suit. And I don't blame OP one bit for feeling how they're feeling. That was their lived experience. But like the commenter said, the dad is the real root problem here. People focusing on the stepmom, and yeah, she's awful as well. Like a real A-class shitty person. Don't get me wrong, but none of that actually happens if dad stood up and was a dad. He allowed his daughter to be sidelined, let his wife treat her like absolute shit, and then had the audacity to want a walk down the aisle moment at the end of it. And the stepmom, I mean, this is just straight up long-term karma, right? You can't spend years putting a child down, bragging about being better and treating them like absolute shit, and then be shocked when your life falls apart and nobody feels bad for you. It's not a lack of sympathy in this. It's not cruel. It's just the consequences basically catching up to you. And for OP, it just sounds like she's got a supportive, real family behind her at this moment. She's trying to establish some kind of relationship with her step-siblings, and things are moving in the right direction for her. And I really do hope that continues going forward. And there was many people suggesting OP unpack all of this in therapy, because holding on to all of this that's gone on and you know, it can absolutely absorb you if you let it right. And hopefully OP can just move past that now. But I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, truly. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.